Hi everyone. I wanted to chat about fascia treatments of your feet and aging. So I'm 46 and I'm aging. And 2 years ago, when the pandemic started, I started doing practice called the Melt Method. And it was like a really purposeful choice that happened, like intentional development of my practice up until March of 2020. I was dancing a lot, like every week, at least 3 times, at least 2 times, 3 times, but often 5 times. And I was also spending a lot of my money on body sessions. Like I would have a reflexology session, which was working really well for me. I was working with a very sensitive reflexologist, and like I could feel as she was touching me here, I could feel releases in my chest area and my clavicular, or the muscles around the clavicular. I could feel like releases in the back of my skull. When she would touch my hands, I would feel really deep thoracic releases. I also had they're still functioning in London. I also had a brilliant craniosacral therapist, a French lady who was just super sensitive. And again, we had this very collaborative approach where she would touch my spine and I would feel the energy releasing down through my leg into my foot, and she could feel the energy moving, like the release happening through the muscles. It would shift the orientation of my vertebra, like very slightly, but open up the breath, release some sciatica pain that came from a bit of sacrum disbalance. So And did I do any other body work? Well, I did a lot of stuff. But I did spend a significant amount of my income on regular bodywork sessions, just because I was dancing, I was like involved in functional anatomy practices, but just the daily grind of going on the underground, stressing about things, getting older probably, or aging, or just like being unsupported in certain aspects of my life, it would tense me up and I would need help from touch. Even though my dance practice involved touch, I would sensitize, I still needed this focused interaction with touch with my body to release deep within the small stabilizing muscles and let go of stuck stress. So, I'm sorry, this is really long, 3 minutes and 40 seconds explaining about my bodywork relationship. But I think it's really important actually, because what I'm getting at is I spent a significant amount of money. I had to book sessions, go to the session. It was happening like 2 or 3 times a month, but I couldn't do more than 2 or 3 times, and it was good enough. It was really helpful, and it was like really pushing my movement practice, and I was really, really happy with it. But then the pandemic happened, and we didn't know what was happening with the pandemic, but we were going on lockdown. I lost all of my bookings with my jobs. And I had like some significant paycheck just before the pandemic, so I wasn't like freaking out, but I knew I wouldn't get to a therapist. I actually remember, I did get a few sessions with this deep tissue guy who's also a dancer, And I canceled a booking with him just before the pandemic started because I had my period. And he said, yeah, we can reschedule, no problem. And then the pandemic happened, and I decided to make this trip. And I texted him and I said, oh, I still owe you money for that session. Do you want to do it now? And he was like, well, I'm not so sure because, we're on lockdown. I don't feel comfortable coming to your apartment. And he was like, yeah, you can come to mine. And there was like, I really don't feel comfortable you doing that. And at the same time, I heard Sue Hitzman talk, and that woman was just nailing it. Explaining what it means to have chronic pain in your body and how it has nothing to do with your scoliosis or your bulging disc, and how your fascia needs to get hydrated because otherwise the neuroreceptors stop communicating clearly with your central nervous system, and your central nervous system goes on a hiatus saying, okay, I don't feel comfortable, I'm not reaching those parts of you, I don't know what's going on down there in your ankle or in your knee, I can't use that very well, so I'm doing the best I can to tell you how to get from A to B by using those parts of you, but I'm not quite sure like where they are exactly, so it's kind of fuzzy, so I'm using a lot more of that part of you instead of clarifying the muscle chain progression, just because I can't hear what's going on there. And then I start dumping a bit of stress hormones in your body because I want you to do something about it, because I need to be able to hear those neuroreceptors and I'm not getting a clear signal. So in a way, she was explaining chronic pain as a response to the central nervous system starting to feel a bit unsafe because it doesn't have clear communication with all parts of you. And that really spoke to me because she was explaining it in a very scientific level. And she was saying, okay, I use these balls, therapeutic balls and rollers with a 5-step process where you could bring back hydration to parts of you and stimulate fluid exchange to start going up towards your spine and from your hands up towards your thoracic, and releasing the neck and lower back through hydration as opposed to release of muscle. So I'm stimulating hydration through compression or lengthening technique, but that's a bit more advanced, and getting that interstitial fluid to start driving out and moving those debris that are starting to settle in your fascia, and making it too how to say, stiff as opposed to fluid and malleable. So if the fascia in your body, which surrounds every nerve, every organ, goes deep into your muscles, if that fascia starts to stiffen and to dehydrate, then those neuroreceptors don't have the fluid environment within which to send electrical signals up to your central nervous system. So I heard that and I was like, oh my God, that woman, it spoke to me really clearly. And regardless that I had very few money, I mean, I felt I had enough money because I didn't know how, I thought this was going to be like a lockdown for 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, so I have this last paycheck for 3 weeks and that's fine. And so I just like ordered a roller that cost me 150 pounds, and I ordered these videos that cost 50 pounds. So I spent like 200 pounds on this melt method kit, and I started because I wasn't doing anything. I didn't have a job. So I just started melting and watching the video. It's really hard to watch videos. You buy stuff and then you never look at it. But because I had this time and it was really warm summer, I started watching video by video, and regardless how hard it was, because I'm a bit ADD, so like it's hard for me to focus. So watching a 10-minute video can be a 2-hour experience because I get distracted, or I go into like, oh, she said that thing, what does it mean in my knee, what does it mean in my head? So I get really nerdy and I go on this, I make a lot of connections and then I practice around something that it has triggered in me. And I need to process that experience afterwards, and I need to drink water. And so it takes me a long time. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is that it started to change my body, and I started to feel suppleness, the kind of suppleness I would feel when I went to a reflexology session, or the kind of suppleness I would feel when I spent an hour dancing with a really confident partner, where we would like touch each other, sensitized, and move with the flow and come out just feeling glorious and fabulous. And this would happen without me having to put clothes on, without me having to get on the underground, without me having to spend 70 pounds on a bodywork session. I was in control of managing the hydration of my body. So it was empowering. It didn't cost me any money before, apart from the kit I spent on. And then it was amazing. And I did that for 6 months, and it completely changed my nervous system. I became more relaxed. I could make decisions easier. Like my anxiety levels went down, and it was so consistent and reliable. You cannot go to a bodywork session 3 or 4 times a week, and you need that because your daily living puts stress in your body that you need to release 3 or 4 times a week to feel good, to hydrate your body. That's the reality. Nobody can, unless you're Madonna, you cannot spend 3 or 4 sessions at bodywork. That's like 70. I don't care where you are. You're spending 50 euros in Europe, 70 in the UK. In Bulgaria, I think it's between 40 and 70 Bulgarian levy. Nobody has that kind of money 3 or 4 times a week. But if you have your roller and balls and you begin to work, to learn, to sensitize, because there is a learning curve. So if you're working with a really experienced melt method instructor, like myself, I don't have that. I have 2 years with the melt method, but I have 10 years with somatic practice. I can see your body. I can see the compensations on you, and I can notice how much effort you're employing, where you're tensing up, and I can invite you to gain support through parts of you in order to release in other parts. It's a sensitivity thing. It's about sensuality and sensitivity. Sensuality and sensitivity is a great thing to deal. I mean, that's what got you into an anxiety cycle, and that's what's going to get you out of it. And there is a learning curve, so you have to learn to develop a relationship with the roller, because it's just a sensing in with how it feels to be able to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and sensing and learning to hear your body, where the stress is, where the stuck stress is, and learning to feel the hydration starting to flow through your body. It's a process. Fascia takes about 3 months to reform, but with the melt method, you start to feel hydration from day 1. But it gets better and better. And then there was like a period where I hit a wall. So I came and danced in Brussels for 5 weeks with David Zombrano. I hope I can upload this to YouTube because it's more than 10 minutes. I don't remember if it allows more than 10 minutes. I don't know if you're still with me. If you are, I hope you're enjoying it. So I came to dance with David Zambrano, the flying low method, and it's pretty intense. Going in and out of the floor, it uses your whole body, and that's what I love about it. It wakes up my whole body. It's like a whole body thing. It's really pleasurable. David Zambrano is all about sex, so the dance he's created is really in and out and in and out, and he designed it when he fucked himself up with an injury where he couldn't move and he was on the ground, and he had to go really deep inside himself to find this going out and going in, but through the whole body, so that he could support himself out of the injury he had inflicted by using like a segregated part of himself. Segregation is not good in society, and it's not good in your body. If I'm going to load only my hip because I'm not using my thoracic, it will put more strain on my hip, and the hip is going to go like, I'm sorry, I'm overworked, I don't like this, it's painful. I have a client who's a ballet performer and her hips hurt because she does not move through her thoracic. She's like upright and there's no breath going there. You need to go through the whole body. Anyway, I digress. So I came to, and I did 5 weeks with him, and 5 weeks after, I don't know, 6 months of just being on pandemic, not dancing regularly, was a lot on my body, and I got sore every day. And I started melting every day, like for an hour, which is too much because melting is a neurofascial therapy. So I started overstimulating my nerves, and they were like, wow, like, what is this? And my body actually froze. So I got this thing where my thoracic was like completely frozen. No, not completely frozen, but I got like a spasm, and I had to actually take 3 days off a David Zombrano course and chill and breathe and let my body rest. And then I realized I was doing it too strong. So I stopped melting, and I didn't melt for 6 months. And a Sue Hitzman video came on again. She's really good with social media. And it came on again, and she's like, oh yeah, my instructor course is coming up again. And during the period of 2 years of pandemic, her course kept coming up. I had like, I don't know, 5,000 pounds on my credit cards. And I was like, yeah, I can spend $1,500 on her course. I'm going to do that during the pandemic. I'm going to use my credit card. But 2 years into the pandemic, my credit cards were out. They're like maxed out. I'm just barely paying my like, what is it called? I don't know, the monthly payments. And so I just dropped her this message. This is a woman that has, I don't know, thousands of followers. And I dropped her a personal message, and I said, oh my God, Sue, I understand your work so well. I wish I could do your teacher training course. But I don't have the money. And I just dropped that. It was just like, I don't know, I don't know what it was. And she responded and she said, apply for a scholarship. I was like, you have a scholarship? And I'm a scholarship kid. Like, I got my education on a scholarship. I studied history, I studied photojournalism because someone paid for me. I don't have money. I've never had money. I don't come from a family with money. I don't have support. So, and it's funny, but it's always Americans that have facilitated my education. She's American, and she said, apply for a scholarship. That was December. I borrowed money to pay for my sublet. And the sublet was ending like the 15th of January. I did not know where I would be living afterwards. And in December, while everybody was in a festive mood, I was doing my yoga nonstop with my absolute angels of yoga teacher in Canada on Zooms. And I sat down and filled in the form and sent it out with complete clarity that I had written it really well. I'm not like some kind of a super confident person, but I was like, yeah, this is really good. I sent it out, and I checked in with the admin, and I was like, did you get my application? Yeah, shut up. We did. And then I was like, I'm not going to think about it for a few weeks because, it's going to take them time. And then after 2 weeks, I was like, I checked in with myself, how I feel about it, because I haven't gotten a response. And I was like, I feel really confident. And then after a few more days, I was like, well, I feel really confident. That's not changed. But maybe, they haven't wrote me, and, it didn't feel any sadness. I felt confident. But I felt like they haven't responded. And then 1 week later, on my birthday, 31st of December, I don't know who's watching this. This is 19 minutes of me oversharing. I don't care. On the 31st of December, it was, 30th towards the 31st. I don't think it was like on New Year's Eve. I don't remember actually. But it was on the 31st of December. I think in the early hours of 31st of December, I was not asleep. It was 1 a.m. By the way, if your fascia is inflamed, you are having problems sleeping. I was having problems sleeping, which is normal because I was out of money and out of a house. At 1 p.m., at 1 a.m., I received this message and it said, "Congratulations, you've received the full scholarship to do the MELT method." That was the 31st of December. The course was starting on the 11th of January. My sublet was ending on the 14th. So in those 10 days, I contacted some random woman in Bulgaria who proposed me a house for 150 BGN, Bulgarian leva, for 3 months. And I asked my friend if he would lend me another 150 pounds a month to survive for 3 months. And I studied nonstop. It was really hard. And I realized that actually it does pay off to get some one-on-one support to learn the method, because there are little things that actually make the hugest difference to be able to fluidize. Because basically what you're doing is you're learning to be a body worker on yourself. You're learning how the touch can release tension, invite fluidity, and hydrate towards the spine. So you're regulating your nervous system, you're releasing your lower back. And it works very well for me with the Scaravelli yoga I do, because all this hydration I'm releasing through the melt method, I then plug it into lengthening practices with my Scaravelli yoga, which is based on breathing, grounding, and lengthening the spine. So for me, my practice now is perfect. And because I train with Russell Malafan, who is this amazing, I mean, his body is, I don't know how old, he's 60 years old. He was a London Royal Ballet dancer for I don't know how many years. Then he became a choreographer. Then he worked with some of the most famous ballet dancers, bringing them into contemporary dance choreography. This guy's body has danced, it has moved. And he also he did a professional training in roving, which is a fascia-based paradigm. It comes from Ida Rove, who was the original person who started talking about, okay, let's address the structural framework of your body. The structural framework of your body is fascia. It's where your nervous system, your peripheral nervous system is. It's where your structural system is. It keeps you supple. So when I press back and lean back, I'm pressing on body parts. They're shape-shifting around to take that pressure. They're giving my nervous system sensations of something coming into my body. So it's telling me how far I can go before I start hurting myself, or what that support is giving me in order to raise my arm. It's the structural system of your body. There are 3 systems that shape the whole of you. One is the nervous system. You have nerves everywhere. If something's not innervated, it's not working. You cannot recruit it. You cannot use it. It's, the nerves are everywhere. The blood system, the circulation, it's everywhere. Every single cell has to eat and poop. And the fascia, every single cell has to be enveloped and supported, so you're structurally supported. You're together. You're not having a cell fall out of your body. It's enveloped into this sponge like a cosmonaut. You're supported. So your bones are supported, your nerves are supported, your organs are supported, and as gravity passes through you and it rebounds from the ground, you're supported and your shape's shifting in response to gravity. If I pull on you, that force, which is mechanical other than gravity, it's being negotiated through fascia. Anyway, so your fascial system is your support system. So I started working with it and I started learning what are the little tricks to fluidize and hydrate that system. And actually there were some things that I really needed to work hard on, and it wasn't happening. Like the tilt in my lower spine was so blocked up, and that part I wasn't getting just through the videos. Because somebody has to see it on you, someone has to point it out on you, someone has to give you suggestions that are cues for you particularly. I am not the worst mover. I went into this as I'm 46, I'm I was dancing quite intensively, but I was receiving, I had gone through quite a lot of body work, but I had a locked up psoas. In even as much as I had released my psoas, there was this rebalancing through the neural core that had to happen. And that took me 6 months this year, after 3 months of really intense studying with a group of instructors, live on online, who were correcting us and emphasizing parts of the method that are important to nail down. Because when you're watching a video, you might not pick up on what exactly is the biggest priority and in what particular moment, what progression you have to follow. 25 minutes. That's what I'm going to leave you with. The melt method supports your fascia, and it's an alternative to going to body workers, but an alternative that is better. I would say go to body workers as much as you can afford, because body workers help develop my relationship to the body work sensation. There is like things that are happening in your body when somebody touches you, in your nervous system. It's affecting your nervous system. I respond very strongly to that. I'm a little, I don't have a lot of padding on me. Like, I've become very grounded, but that's not my natural state of being. I'm quite jumpy, reactive, responsive. That makes me very sensitive. I can feel a lot, but it could oversensitize me. It can overwhelm me. I spent my 30s and 20s being overwhelmed. And now in my 40s, I actually have resources to regulate my nervous system. And you can too. You need 3 or 4 times a week to touch in with yourself and regulate your neural core, hydrate your body, your upper or lower part of the body, and you vary that. You don't want to be hitting it every day because it would overstimulate the nervous system, but you want to hydrate and release that hydration. Eating well, going for runs, I don't know what you do, skiing, hugging your child. These are all parts of a healthy lifestyle, but you need to work on your fascia. I don't care who you are. I mean, look at Elle Macpherson. I don't know how you pronounce her name. She had to do that too. She's producing collagen and selling it in bottles, because collagen is what wraps up. It's what consists in your fascia. Everyone needs to start hydrating their fascia after a certain point in your life. Unless you're a baby, they're like all fluid. These creatures, they're fluid. They don't have so much. You need to start stiffening in the fascia to be able to move in, to respond to gravity. So you need to stiffen a bit to have structure to stabilize. Otherwise, the kids, they cannot stand upright. They're so supple. They're all fluid. You need to start creating a bit of stiffening in certain parts of you so that you can be upright. So fascia, it comes and stiffens and then it fluidizes. It's a pulsating system. So it has this quality from transitioning from being stiff to fluidizing. But if it continuously gets stiff, it just turns into a bone. You start using it as a crutch. And that does not work for your nervous system. Your nervous system needs fluidity to be able to speak from your toe to your central nervous system, from your finger to your central nervous system. And hands and feet and lips are the most highly innervated parts of your body. And once you start hydrate, I don't know what you do about the lips. I mean, we have a face treatment, but basically kiss or something. I don't know. Use your voice that vibrates here. That's really important to release in your neck. But you need to be hydrating and releasing your hands and your feet every day. 5 times a week. You just need that. I don't care who you are. And then that hydration goes from here towards the spine and from here towards your hips and spine. And then your spine can come alive. It's not the only thing you have to do, but you need to take care of your fascia and then do some sport. address, move your muscles in space. That's important to integrate, because this is a sensory approach, but you need to use your muscles. Yeah. I don't know if this is helpful for someone, but I hope it is. And have a great Sunday.